It was the 9th year of my entanglement with Gabriel. His mistress burst into my birthday party, telling me that they were true lovers and asking me to agree to divorce to help them achieve their goal. Gabriel watched indifferently, waiting for me to handle his disobedient mistress as usual, but that day, I suddenly felt tired of it. I stood up, smiled at him and said, "I'm going to the garden to get some air." Gabriel didn't pay much attention, thinking I was going to cry secretly. However, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours passed. But I didn't come back. He went to look for me himself in the garden. There was only a burnt-out cigarette and a ring. He knew I would never go back. 5 years after our marriage, Gabriel kept a cool and charming ballet dancer outside. Her name was Leela. Someone told me that the first time Gabriel saw Leela, he was fascinated by her graceful dance, which was like that of a fairy under the moon. He kept the girl pampered outside like a dragon hoarding its treasure, hiding her from everyone, including me. But at this moment, Leela came to me on her own initiatives. He looked at me with red-rimmed eyes, her eyes full of condemnation. "Gabriel doesn't love you anymore. He loves me now. Don't you think it's cruel and unreasonable for you to tie him down with marriage? Gabriel and I are truly in love. Please agree to divorce and let us be together." She cried pitifully like a poor soul whose happiness was blocked by me, a wicked woman. But I just found it ridiculous. True love. Don't you think you're despicable for falling in love with someone else's husband? Hearing this, Leela's face turned slightly pale, but the next moment she cried even more aggrieved. "Lie. Yes, you're right. It's despicable of me to fall in love with a married man. You're right to scold me, but love is not wrong. I just want to be with the person I love forever. I really love Gabriel and I don't want to be separated from him. Can't you just let us go?" Her words were absurd and naive, but Gabriel thought she was cute and fearless. He gently wiped her tears away and coaxed her in a soft voice, "Okay, baby, stop making a fuss. I'll go and accompany you tonight." As soon as he said this, everyone was stunned. He was trampling on my dignity to support Leela. This was a kind of favor that other mistresses had never received in the past. When someone came to ask me to leave, Gabriel, after learning about it, would severely punish that mistress himself. He warned everyone, "Elena is my wife. No one can provoke her." But today, Leela ruined my birthday. Not only did Gabriel indulge her, but after he even had his secretary personally send her back, he walked up to me and said in a low voice, "Don't worry. I won't let her act up again. So, don't do anything to her," he was warning me. I didn't nod immediately. Gabriel slightly frowned and his eyes were as cold as ice. "Elena, Leela is young and doesn't understand things." He even made excuses for her. "I got it, don't you worry." I interrupted him and nodded in agreement. Gabriel's expression softened and by the wanted to hold my hand, but I instinctively avoided it. Gabriel's face darkened, a bit displeased, but I smiled at him and said, "I'm going to the garden to get some air." Gabriel nodded. "Come back early, we're waiting for you to cut the cake." "Okay." I turned around and left. Gabriel's gaze was on my back all the time, but I didn't look back, not even once. After leaving the banquet hall, it was drizzling outside. I lit a cigarette in the curling of smoke. Somehow, I suddenly remembered the day Gabriel proposed to me. It seemed to be raining that day too. I got to know him at the age of 3, fell in love with him at 16. At the age of 23, Gabriel succeeded in starting his business and earned his first pot of gold. Then, he proposed to me. "Elena, will you marry me?" That day he knelt down on one knee in front of me, his hand trembling so much that he could hardly hold the ring. I looked down at him and only asked, "Will you love me forever?" He vowed without hesitation. Forever. I believed his words were sincere at that time, but sincerity is fickle. At the age of 27, Gabriel kept a young and beautiful girl outside. After I found out, he knelt in front of me, crying and begging me not to divorce, saying he would definitely change, but once there was a first time, there would be a second, third, fourth time. Until now, he no longer conceals it, and I no longer make a scene. I've had enough of it and seen it through. Just like Leela, Gabriel was special to her. He came to warn me and threaten me for her. If it was 3 years ago, I might have cried my heart out, but now, I just felt tired and disgusted. Because I knew better than anyone that Gabriel would never divorce me for Leela. It had nothing to do with feelings. It was just that over the years of our marriage, Our interests were so intertwined that divorce would be both cumbersome and beneficial to him. He wouldn't do it, and he was also certain that I wouldn't either after all. Over the years, I had mentioned divorce more than once, but it ended up going nowhere at first. It was because of love. And later, because of unwillingness, but no matter what the reason was, it stands to reason that I should have been used to this kind of drama after all these years. But this time, I suddenly felt tired of it and didn't want to act with him anymore. The cigarette ash fell, scalding my fingertips and making them tremble. At this moment, the waiter came up to me and quietly reminded me, "Elena, Gabriel said it's time for you to go back and cut the cake." Go back. I suddenly came to my senses after a moment. I extinguished the cigarette, turned around and smiled gently. "Tell Gabriel I'm not going back." The waiter relayed the message to Gabriel. Gabriel's face darkened slightly. Seeing this, others quickly tried to persuade him. "Elena might be in a bad mood, that's why she said she won't come back. Women just throw little tantrums. Gabriel, you should be more tolerant. Women need to be coaxed." "Gabriel, why don't you go and coax her?" Hearing this, Gabriel's heart stirred. He and Elena had known each other since childhood. No one understood better than him how much Elena loved him today. He had asked Elena to be lenient with Leela, and in order to send Leela away said he would accompany her tonight. That was a wrong thing to say. Today was Elena's birthday. He should have stayed with her tonight. He had said the wrong thing. Thinking of this, Gabriel looked at the waiter. Was she crying? Elena had been a crybaby since she was a child. She would cry when she was sad, happy, and even when watching a sad drama, her eyes would turn red and she'd be too sad to sleep. She was sensitive and fragile. She must have been upset by his words just now. So she made an excuse to go outside and cry secretly. A tinge of guilt welled up in Gabriel's heart. Elena was his wife, and it was her birthday today. He shouldn't have embarrassed her for Leela. He should apologize. Just as he was thinking this, the waiter shook his head. No, Elena was smiling happily. She looked beautiful. Gabriel slightly furrowed his brows, surprised by this answer, but in a moment, his face darkened, and his tone was as cold as ice. Then what's she fussing about? She's not a child anymore. If she doesn't want to come back, just leave her alone. The guests looked at each other, not daring to persuade further. They could only wait in silence. But an hour passed. Then 2 hours, then 3 hours. Elena still didn't return to the banquet hall with a cold and gloomy expression. Gabriel got up and went to the garden. She, wealthy madam, leaving the banquet because of a mistress. It was neither decent nor magnanimous, it only made the guests laugh. When he saw Elena later, he must scold her, but when he arrived, the garden was already empty. The rain was pattering beside the trash can. There was only a burnt-out cigarette and a ring. Gabriel's heart trembled slightly. That ring was the silver ring he had used to propose. Over the years, he had bought Elena countless jewels, but she was only fond of this silver ring, cherishing it like a treasure. But now, she had casually thrown it into the trash can. She didn't want it anymore. At this moment, the wind blew, carrying the rain, soaking Gabriel's shirt. He was icy cold all over, but he was incredibly clear-headed. He understood Elena would never come back after I returned to the villa. I contacted the lawyer immediately. The lawyer was professional and skillfully analyzed the property division issue for me. After all, this wasn't the first time he had helped me with the divorce problem. Although it had always ended up going nowhere before, but this time, it was different. I was serious and focused. I don't know how long it had passed when my phone rang. It was Gabriel. He probably found out that I left early without telling him, which made him lose face. So he was a bit angry after answering the call. His tone was cold. "Elena, what on earth are you trying to do?" I motioned for the lawyer to pause. Then I said to him in a very calm tone, "I want to divorce you." On the other end of the phone, his breathing paused for a moment. When he spoke again, Gabriel's tone became gentle. "Is it because of Leela?" I didn't answer. He thought he had guessed the reason correctly, and he seemed to heave a sigh of relief. His tone carried a hint of comfort. "Elena, she really messed up your birthday. It was her fault. You had every right to be unhappy. I'll ask her to come and apologize to you right now." Even now, he thought I was just throwing a tantrum because of Leela. But he still couldn't bear to break things off. It was kind of ridiculous. I smiled softly, then interrupted him in an extremely calm voice. "Gabriel, it has nothing to do with anyone. Then why'd I want to divorce you? Just because I don't like you anymore?" "Gabriel, the road ahead is long, I won't accompany you on the rest of the journey. I finally said these words, as if I had unloaded a heavy burden on my back. I felt a bit melancholy, but more than that, I felt relaxed and relieved. Gabriel was silent for a while on the other end of the phone, only the sound of him lightly tapping the table could be heard, indicating that he was thinking. After a moment, he spoke again, his tone dull. "What are you fussing about this time?" He still thought I was just being petulant. In fact, this question was very familiar after I found out about his affairs time and time again. When I made a scene and cried time and time again, he would always look at me tiredly and infuriately, with deep confusion in his eyes, and ask me, "Over the years, all my money and the company shares are in your hands. Those women are just for casual flings. No one can threaten your position. You'll always be my wife. Whatever you want to buy, you can get it right away. Look at the women around you. There are so many who are struggling for a living. Their annual salary can't even match the starting price of one of your rings. Elena, what on earth are you still fussing about? What else are you dissatisfied with?" Yes, what was there to be dissatisfied with? Living a wealthy life. Enjoying a life of luxury. Countless people envied it, even my father, after severely beating Gabriel. Euphemistically advised me to just let it go, pretend not to know, and muddle along. After all, real gold and silver are more important than love. I understood this truth, but I just couldn't accept it. I couldn't accept that the end of our childhood sweethearts and husband and wife through thick and thin was a hollow relationship and false happiness. I couldn't accept that our mutual love ended up with mutual loathing. So, I cried, I made a scene. And I mentioned divorce time and time again, hoping to make him repent and regain his love, but the result was that lovers turned into enemies when in love. I wished him to live, when in hatred, I wished him to die. I didn't believe this sentence before, but during those most painful days, I did. Gabriel, you may not believe it, but I really wanted to kill you and then commit suicide. I thought Gabriel would be shocked, but he asked, "Then why didn't you succeed?" I was stunned for a moment. Then I smiled softly, and my tone was gentle. "Because, that day, you called me Bao Bao. Bao Bao, as precious as a treasure. My mother passed away early, and my father raised me alone. He gave me the nickname Bao Bao after Gabriel knew it. He started calling me that. He had called me that for so many years. When we were young, he would hold my hand and run along the country path to school, turning back to smile at me. Bao Bao. If we don't hurry up, we'll be late." On our wedding night, he kissed my forehead, his fingertips trembling. "Bao Bao, I love you." The day my father passed away, he held me tightly in his arms and kept whispering in my ear, "Bao Bao, you're not an orphan from now on. I'll take care of you. Don't be afraid." At that time, he loved me the most. That somehow, at some point, when he called me, it was always Elena. Elena. I thought I had forgotten the name Bao Bao, but that night, when I got him drunk and tightly clutched his neck, gradually exerting force, he opened his eyes. Hazy, seeing my red-rimmed eyes, his first reaction wasn't his bound hands. But he coldly asked me, "Bao Bao, why are you crying? Did someone bully you or?" I was stunned. He was drunk and had forgotten that he had betrayed and hurt me. All he remembered was that he loved me the most and couldn't bear to see me cry. So after I told him that it was him who had bullied me, Gabriel panicked instantly. He looked up at me, his tone pitiful. "I'm sorry, Bao Bao. I was wrong. Hit me if you want. Tomorrow, I'll take you to Uncle Lee's to have baked sweet potatoes. Okay?" I had a sweet tooth when I was young and loved the baked sweet potatoes made by Uncle Lee at the village entrance the most, but I always couldn't bear to buy them. Gabriel would save money to buy them for me every time. I had to force-feed him a bite because he was reluctant to taste it himself. Those were the poorest times, but also the times when we loved each other the most. Whenever he made me angry, he would always stare at me pitifully, like a puppy afraid of losing its master, just like he was that night. So I softened my heart without any backbone. I released my hands from his neck and untied the ropes binding him. Amid his increasingly anxious calls, I went out, stood on the top floor, and looked down. I thought that since I couldn't kill Gabriel, I might as well end my own life. But just as this thought emerged, it was interrupted by a long drawn-out sound that cut through the sky. Looking in the direction of the sound, one after another, fireworks bloomed in front of me. Red, blue, pink. They were so brilliant and beautiful that they illuminated half of the sky. It was breathtakingly beautiful at this moment, looking out of the floor-to-ceiling window at the pitch-black night sky where I couldn't see the fireworks from that night. I said in a soft and gentle tone. At that moment, I suddenly didn't want to die anymore. I even felt lucky that I didn't kill you. Otherwise, I would never be able to see such beautiful fireworks again. On the other end of the phone, Gabriel was silent for a long time. I thought he was frightened by my madness in the past. But after a while, he suddenly asked, "Do you still want to kill me now?" His tone was serious. So, I thought for a moment and answered him seriously, "No. It's not worth it." Gabriel didn't agree to the divorce. It had nothing to do with feelings over the years of our marriage. Our interests had been intertwined too deeply and tightly. Divorce would undoubtedly be a huge and painful change for him. The property division would also affect the company's listing except for regaining his single status. It would bring him no benefits at all. Gabriel was an excellent businessman. He wouldn't do anything that was not in his favor, so he chose to ignore it. Just like he had ignored my hysteria in the past, this time he ignored my request, as well as the divorce agreement and the property division consent sent by my lawyer. I had no intention of arguing with him anymore. I just asked the lawyer to tell Gabriel that if he was not willing to divorce by agreement, I would sue him. Then I left Jing City with my packed luggage. Just before the plane took off, I received a text message from Gabriel. "Elena, you know very well that this is the most crucial time for the company's listing. Do you really have to make trouble with me? After all these years of our relationship, do we really have to come to this?" I thought for a while and replied to him, "Yes, we do." The destination of the plane was Iceland at the intersection of the Atlantic Ocean and the Arctic Ocean. I lived in a seaside town where I could see the sea as soon as I opened the window. Walking further south, among the surrounding green grass, I saw the red house for eyesight testing. Only then did I know that it really existed. When the wind blew, the grass blades swayed. It was so beautiful. I joined a tour group. The tour guide was an Asian woman who could skillfully and accurately lead us to taste delicious food and introduce places of interest. There was a young couple in the tour group. They were affectionate all day long. I once saw the boy practicing the proposal speech over and over again in a secluded place. It took him 3 days to go from clumsy to proficient. Then, at the Roman temple, in the rain of roses, the boy proposed to the girl beside him. "Joey, Joey, will you marry me?" Clearly, he had practiced so many times, but when he opened his mouth, he was even worse than the first time. Clumsy, hadn't fulfilled Wade's session. Trembling, yet sincere, "I do." The girl accepted the ring with red-rimmed eyes. Amid cheers and applause, she threw herself into the boy's arms. The two hugged tightly. Under the sky-filling flower petals, it seemed as if they had embraced the whole world. On the way back, the boy went to pack things for the girl, and the girl sat next to me. She cherished and carefully touched the diamond ring on her finger. Suddenly, she saw a ring mark on my ring finger. She blinked and looked at me. "Sister, are you married?" "Yes." The girl was very friendly and got excited when she heard that I was someone with marriage experience. "Sister, how old were you when you got married?" "I just started working this year." "Did I agree to his proposal too early?" She was young. Her eyes were filled with longing for the future, love for her sweetheart, and uneasiness about marriage. She was afraid of choosing the wrong person and taking the wrong path. Unlike me when I was young and naive, I chose Gabriel without hesitation, thinking that love could overcome all difficulties. But later I realized that all difficulties stemmed from love, and marriage only brought me endless harm and tears. My marriage was undoubtedly a failure, so I had no right to tell her some chicken soup-like words or love advice. I just told her. I got married at 23. Now I'm 32 and preparing for a divorce. For me, marriage has nothing to do with age. If you like someone, be together. If you don't, separate. Be more straightforward and keep it simple. After hearing this, the girl nodded naively and then asked me cautiously, "Did you divorce because you don't love each other anymore?" I smiled and nodded. Yes, we grew tired of each other. On the 7th day after Elena left, Leela had just finished her performance and Gabriel went to pick her up personally. On the way back, Leela was scrolling through short videos. "I got married at 23 and now I'm 32, planning to get a divorce. Sister, is it because you don't love him anymore that you want a divorce? Yes, we can't stand the sight of each other. Gabriel trembled slightly all over and turned his head to look. He couldn't see the face of the woman speaking. But he just knew that the voice was Elena's. She said she didn't love him anymore. That she was sick of him. This was simply ridiculous and absurd. Elena's mother had passed away early, and her father had also died a few days ago. Besides him, she had no one else in the world to rely on. She couldn't leave him even though she had mentioned divorce more than once over the years. Gabriel knew very well that the one who really didn't want to divorce was her. She couldn't bear to part with him and cared more than anyone about having a home of her own. Divorce and making a scene were just Elena's tricks to attract his attention. How could she not love him anymore? Gabriel thought to himself, but a sense of unease and dullness welled up in his heart. He urgently needed to get affirmation from Elena, so he pulled the car over to the side of the road, ignored Leila's puzzled look, took out his phone, and wanted to send Elena a text message. But when he opened it, he found that the previous message asking when she would come home had no reply yet scrolling up. There was a message from her telling him to handle everything through the lawyer and not to disturb her. After thinking for a while, he decided to ask her where she had gone, but what he got was a red exclamation mark. Elena had blocked him. Gabriel's fingertips trembled slightly, and his heart suddenly felt empty. Just then, he heard the girl in the video asking Elena, "Then if he changes his mind and pursues you again now, will you forgive him?" "No." Elena's voice was gentle but without hesitation. Gabriel suddenly clenched his phone tightly, his jaw tensing extremely hard. She was lying. Elena was lying. How could she not forgive him? She loved him so much. He just didn't believe it. The day I returned to the country, Gabriel came to pick me up at the airport in person. He was handsome and tall, walking towards me with a large bouquet of roses in his arms, attracting the attention of many people. "Elena, welcome back." I didn't take the flowers from him. He slightly frowned his eyebrows, then naturally took my suitcase. "Bao Bao, stop being stubborn. Okay?" He called me Bao Bao. In the past, I would really have softened my heart. But now, I was just confused. I didn't know what on earth he was trying to do. When I opened the car door, I found that Leila was also in the car. I frowned slightly. Gabriel quickly explained, "Elena, I know you're still angry that Leila ruined your birthday. I brought her here to apologize to you." Leila lowered her eyes, looking pathetic. "I'm sorry, sister. It's all my fault. Please don't be angry with Gabriel. Okay?" I watched this farce in silence. Saying nothing, Gabriel tried to hold my hand, but I avoided it. He seemed to sigh helplessly and compromised with me. "If you don't like her, I'll break up with her." "Okay." As soon as he said this, Leila's face turned deathly pale. She looked at Gabriel in disbelief. But I refused. "No need. Young people have their own advantages." Gabriel was stunned. "What?" Just as he finished speaking, a boy suddenly knocked on the car window. When he saw me, he directly sat next to me, took my hand, and intertwined his fingertips with mine. "Sister, how could you leave me behind?" Before I could say anything, Gabriel's face changed. He stared gloomily at the boy's hand holding mine. "Who is this?" The boy looked back at him, then at me. "Your ex-husband?" I nodded. The boy gave a bright smile, his youthful spirit overwhelming, so sunny that it was blinding. "Hello, ex-husband. I'm Oliver, the young lover sister keeps." His gaze was frighteningly calm. Leila frowned in disgust. "How can you be so shameless?" Hearing this, Oliver rolled his eyes, speechless. "Lie. What's wrong? Aren't you also the ex-husband's lover? Why are you being discriminatory? Besides, if anyone should be discriminatory, it should be me. You were a mistress during the marriage. You're despicable, shameless." These words bombarded Leila into pieces. She could only stand there, her face pale, eyes red, trembling with anger, looking pitifully at Gabriel, hoping he would stand up for her as usual. But Gabriel didn't even glance at her. "Let's go home first," I said. "Take me to the apartment. That's where I live now." Oliver pestered me to come back to the country with him and had nowhere to go, so he could only stay at my place. But Gabriel tightened his grip on the steering wheel. "Come home. I want to talk to you." It was a non-negotiable tone. I frowned in displeasure, but seeing Gabriel's expression, I still nodded. When we got back to the villa, the layout was still the same as when I left. It was a bit messy after all. When I left, I took away all the valuable things I could carry. Gabriel started with a question. Who is he? I raised my eyebrows. My young lover. You said you couldn't accept an open marriage before, now you've found a young man yourself. Have you had a good time with him these days? Gabriel frowned tightly. He looked up at me, with a hint of nonchalant smile at the corner of his mouth. But his eyes were cold. I looked at him and laughed. Pretty good young people are full of energy. My straight for winters silenced Gabriel's sarcasm. I was a bit impatient. Gabriel, is this what you wanted to talk to me about? If so, I won't accompany you. He's young and always has nightmares when sleeping alone. I'm going to accompany him. This should be quite familiar to Gabriel once. He had said the same thing to me. Gabriel obviously also remembered that past event. His face instantly became extremely ugly, but the next second, he looked at me, took 2 steps closer, then looked down at me condescending and smiled. Elena, let's break up with them both and start over. Okay. I pushed him away and looked up at him warily. You don't love me, you just feel that the person who wasn't supposed to leave suddenly did. Which hurt your pride. You've had OCD since you were a kid. When you were a child, if the pancake you were going to eat was missing a corner, you'd rather starve than eat it now. You'd rather find one woman after another outside, but still keep me to maintain your perfect marriage. After all these years, I knew him better than anyone. I knew his cold hardness and his selfishness. He was tired of me. Yet he didn't allow anyone else to have me. This wasn't love. This was his arrogance. Gabriel. You really are sick. Get treated as soon as possible. Gabriel fled in embarrassment, but the next day, he still showed up outside the door, offering to drive me to and from work. I didn't refuse since the divorce hadn't been finalized. We were still the decent wealthy couple. Gabriel treated me better and better, reporting to me everything he did. Text messages came one after another. I didn't read them, let alone reply. People in the company called me Elena. They knew my identity. And I had no interest in working the 9-to-5 routine now that I had money. I didn't have the hobby of enduring hardships for no reason. I took an honorary position and just came to the company occasionally. I had friends in the company, so I knew about Leela. This time when I came to the company, my friend saw that Gabriel came to my office frequently and asked me if Gabriel had changed his mind. I sneered and invited her to have dinner after work. After my friend agreed, I sent Gabriel a text message, telling him not to pick me up after work. Then I'll pick you up when you're done, okay? I replied. My friend and I left work together. When we got to the underground parking lot, my friend said to me while driving, Gabriel has broken up with Leela, right? I said he still cares about you as long as you get angry. No matter how much he likes Leela, he can't keep her. I smiled. These days, Leela had called Gabriel many times. I saw it, but Gabriel didn't answer any of them. Even when I said to him, answer it. Maybe it's something urgent. Gabriel looked at me. His eyes very complicated, a mix of depression and sadness. Don't you care? I looked at him and shook my head. I don't. I really didn't care anymore. But Gabriel blocked Leela in front of me, as if he had really changed his mind. During dinner, my friend asked me, if he has changed for the better, are you still going to divorce him? I didn't answer. I looked out of the window. It was getting dark, and there were few pedestrians on the road. A man was standing under the streetlight. His face was unclear, but his figure was tall and straight, very conspicuous. A girl came down from the apartment and quickly threw herself into his arms. The man lowered his head and gently kissed the corner of her eye. A car passed by the two of them when the lights came on. I could see their faces clearly. It was Gabriel and Leela. I watched quietly for a while, then took pictures of everything. Just then, my phone rang. It was a message from Gabriel. Are you done? I'll come pick you up. No need. I'm not going back tonight. He replied instantly. Okay. I looked down. Gabriel was leading Leela's hand and walking into the apartment. Both of them were smiling in the middle of the night. I was woken up by the ringtone. It was Leela. She sent me a photo. Gabriel was sleeping soundly on her chest, and her chest was full of mottled hickeys. It was erotic and sticky. She was no longer the cool-looking woman I first met. Your husband is really great in bed. Sister, he's not interested in you anymore. Why are you so stubborn and refuse to divorce? Can't you save some dignity for yourself? I saved the photo, thought for a while, and transferred 0.52 yuan to her. The note was prostitute Fiolila was furious and sent me a lot of messages. I didn't read any of them instead. I forwarded the photo to the lawyer evidence of infidelity. Tried to get me more property. The lawyer replied instantly. Don't worry, Elena. The next day, when I went downstairs, Gabriel was already waiting for me at the door. Elena. Good morning. He was in high spirits, and there was a sense of satisfaction in his brows after releasing his desire. She brought me breakfast. The fried buns and soy milk that I used to love the most. I casually ate one or two, answering his questions in a perfunctory manner. My perfunctoriness was obvious. Since Gabriel became successful, no one had been so obviously perfunctory to him. His expression was displeased. Elena, do you really have to treat me like this? He stopped the car and looked at me. There was even a hint of grievance in his eyes, as if I had let him down. But when he met my calm and indifferent gaze, he couldn't say anything. Then sign the divorce papers if you can't stand it. Don't endure it. As soon as I said this, Gabriel's face turned cold. Don't even think about it. His attitude was very firm. I sighed and half leaned against the back of the seat, as if sighing with emotion or helplessness. Gabriel, helplessness. Why are you so despicable? When I loved you, you hurt me. When I don't love you anymore, you come to pester me. You really despicable. I'm really annoyed. Gabriel kept insisting on not signing the divorce papers. So we just maintained this marriage, but Gabriel pestered me closely. I knew he was guarding against me seeing Oliver, but when Oliver couldn't find me, he would come and wait for me at the company entrance. He would cling to my arm and act coquettously, asking me if I didn't care about him anymore. I would smile and coax him. I care. In full view of everyone. After I coaxed him away, I turned around and saw Gabriel standing far away at the door, looking at me. I didn't know how much he had seen, but he didn't say anything. He turned around and left the company alone, as if throwing a tantrum, but I didn't care. It rained today. The weather was a bit cold. I went home alone. As soon as I got home, Gabriel took my hand and led me to the dining room. Didn't you want to drink the mutton soup from the south of the city? I bought it for you. His hand felt cold to the touch. I glanced at Gabriel and only then noticed that he was soaking wet, his face slightly pale from the cold. His eyes, however, were filled with anticipation and a hint of flattery, but after taking a sip, I put down the spoon. It's a bit fishy. You can have it. I turned to leave, but Gabriel grabbed my wrist. I bought it specially for you because you like it. It took me 2 hours to find the food stand. It was raining, and there was no shelter at the stand, so I had to wait in the rain. But you only took one sip and didn't even show the slightest concern for me, Elena. What on earth has happened to you? His fingertips were trembling, and there was deep confusion in his eyes. You weren't like this before. So what? I met his gaze, my eyes calm and composed. I stopped liking you a long time ago. You're just a stranger to me. Do you expect me to be solicitous towards a stranger? Your self-indulgent act of moving yourself, and you want me to be grateful? Isn't that ridiculous? Gabriel seemed to be crushed by my words. You can't not like me. I've already investigated. Oliver is just your friend. You to have nothing going on. You're just using him to be angry with me. You still care about me in your heart. Elena, bow. You do love me, don't you? He looked down at me, his eyes cautious yet full of hope. But I noticed that he was clenching his hands so tightly that his fingertips turned white, as if my answer was the last straw determining his life or death. I smiled and then shattered his last hope. He's just a friend for now. Life is long. I'm bound to meet someone who will accompany me for a lifetime. I'm afraid of being alone after my father passed away. I've wanted a home of my own more than anyone, so I've never planned to spend my life alone. I always need someone to accompany me. It could be a man, a woman, or a lover. Gabriel's eyes were bloodshot. He asked me, can't it be me? No. I answered without hesitation. Ignoring Gabriel's face that instantly turned deathly pale, I smiled and then turned to leave. Never looking back, Leila came to me, carrying a pregnancy test report. Compared to the cool and fairy-like appearance when I first saw her, Now there was a coquettish charm in her brows, a result of indulging in love, making her even more attractive. No wonder Gabriel couldn't bear to break up with her. Who could be willing to give up such a delicate flower? Leela told me she was pregnant. She said that the reason Gabriel was being nice to me was that he wanted me to accept this child after all. I couldn't have children. Hearing this, I looked up at her. Gabriel told you I couldn't have children. Otherwise, Leela smiled, with a hint of provocation. But Elena, everyone in the circle knows you can't have children, right? Yes, in the 3rd year of our marriage. When I was 3 weeks pregnant, I found out about Gabriel's affair. During the argument, I had a miscarriage. After that, I never had a child again. Many people guessed that I had damaged my body and could no longer conceive. They secretly tried to solve the problem for me, sending women making promises. But I took a sip of flower tea, smiling calmly without showing the slightest sign of anger. I'm not unable to have children. I just don't want to have children for him because he doesn't deserve it. If you want to have a child for him, that's your own cheap choice. Don't drag me into it also. If he wants a divorce, I'm ready at any time. It's him who doesn't want to. Well, you two are quite a match. One is despicable, and the other is even more so. Viola's face turned red with anger, and her voice was shrill. Elena, he loves me. You rage, just an old woman that I raised my hand and splashed the flower tea in her face. Standagens up. I looked down at her bedraggled appearance like a drowned rat, and said in a calm tone, since you're so certain of his love for you, then quickly persuade him to sign the divorce papers and stop bothering me. Leela, I'm waiting for your good news. Unfortunately, Leela was useless. She made a scene at home and told Gabriel about her pregnancy. Her face was filled with the tenderness of a woman expecting a child. But Gabriel's first reaction was to look at me. Elena, this was an accident. Every time I'd say these words stung Leela, but after a moment, she came to her senses and grabbed Gabriel's arm. Gabriel, why Zoran-Israel? You clearly said you wanted to have a child with me, and you said you hoped the child would be as beautiful as me. How could it be an accident? This is the crystallization of our love. You tell me, you love me. You've long been tired of Elena. Why won't you divorce her? What can she give you? I love you. We're going to have a child. Why won't you marry me? Gabriel's expression was cold. He looked down at her. Go and abort the child. Leela instinctively covered her belly, her eyes full of mournful pleading. No, I won't. This is our child. How can you be so heartless to get rid of him? Girls look pretty and pitiful when they cry. But Gabriel's eyes moved to her abdomen, showing no sign of softening. I don't want to repeat myself a 3rd time. Go and abort the child. Leela screamed and covered her ears as if she could block out the hurtful words from her beloved. The two were at a standoff. I glanced at the hidden camera in the corner and watched this farce coldly. Until Leela fainted from exhaustion. Gabriel had someone send her to the hospital. I'm sorry, Elena. I'll definitely handle this matter well, he promised me. I was stunned for a moment, then laughed. No need. I don't care. As soon as the words left my mouth, the room fell silent. Gabriel looked at me, his eyes as dark as a churning ink pool, but the corners of his eyes were a vulnerable red. You don't care? He seemed to be deeply hurt by my indifference. I stared at him steadily. It was only when he subconsciously grabbed my wrist that I noticed his fingertips were trembling violently. How can you not care? You should be sad. You used to cry so easily. Why are you crying, Elena? Bow, please don't look at me like this. Okay. The ending tone carried a hint of pleading. At this moment he seemed to be humbled to the dust. Delusion. Ally hoping for my pity, but I just thought the dust was dirty. And he was even dirtier. Should I care? We're getting divorced. Whom you have children with and how many children you have nothing to do with me. Gabriel, I really don't love you anymore. Looking at his shaky appearance, I smiled. Since we've known each other, let's leave some dignity for each other. Sign the papers. Gabriel finally signed. He had to. Leela told the media about her pregnancy. And this wealthy family love affair made a huge stir. The stock market was in turmoil. And the shareholders were dissatisfied. Gabriel didn't want to be sued by me anymore. And his affair became public knowledge. The lawyer fought for the maximum benefit for me. 70% of all the property, the lawyer told me. Actually, it's 60%. The remaining 10 percentage points were voluntarily given by Gabriel. I smiled and accepted it calmly. The day I walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, it was a rainy day. Maybe I'm fated to have rainy days for significant events in my life. It rained on the day of our engagement, the day of our marriage, the day Gabriel had his first affair, the day I decided to divorce, and the day of our divorce. In the drizzling rain, Gabriel stood beside me and said softly, "Let me give you a ride." I shook my head. "No need, someone else coming to pick me up." Just as I finished speaking, Oliver squeezed between Gabriel and me, holding an umbrella. "Sister, I'm here, it's cold today. Put on an extra coat, you're already a bit under the weather." He chattered and put his coat on me. I accepted it calmly and then stepped into his umbrella. Just then, the rain suddenly stopped. Looking up, the sun gradually peeked through the clouds. Dispelling the gloomy fog, the sunlight fell gently on me, warming me up from the chill of the rainy season. I smiled, turned around, and waved at Gabriel. "Goodbye." The rain had stopped and the sky cleared. "Goodbye, darkness." Extra chapter: regret is useless. On the day of the divorce, Gabriel stood where he was, watching Eleanor and another man walking away under the same umbrella. He could still vaguely hear the boy's noisy voice and Eleanor's helpless smile, but there was a sense of relief and joy in her eyes. It was a kind of ease and freedom he hadn't seen in her for a long time. In fact, he had long known that Oliver wasn't Eleanor's lover. Eleanor couldn't do that. She had one stride. She got close to a boy, but when he saw the boy's face, he didn't care anymore because that boy looked a lot like him. As long as she couldn't let go of him, she couldn't truly move on. Sure enough, that absurd relationship ended in less than a month. Eleanor never stepped out of line again after getting drunk. He had told this to a friend. The friend was stunned for a moment. After a while, the friend sneered. "Maybe she doesn't love you, maybe she's just not as despicable as you. Gabriel, you'll really lose Eleanor like this. Don't regret it when that day comes." What had he said at that time? Gabriel thought for a while and remembered at that time. He smiled with certainty. "How could I regret it? It's Eleanor who can't leave me." He thought he didn't like Eleanor anymore. After all these years, he was clearly tired of her. But at this moment, looking at Eleanor's receding figure, his heart ached as if being torn apart, as if he had lost the most important thing in his life. He suddenly wanted to chase after her, but as soon as he took a step, he stopped. He knew Eleanor wouldn't look back anymore. She had once said, "If you like someone, be together. If you don't, separate." "Gabriel, I really don't love you anymore. Let us separate." She had never lied. She really didn't love him anymore. Never again. Her future life was like the sky after the rain, bright and dazzling, and he would stand in the rain for the rest of his life, but no one cared. No one would care anymore.